So hi Kaya, how are you?
I'm okay today.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you. Before before we get into any kind of, talking, expressing, making anything, I wanted to ask you if you would be okay with me burning some sage in order to kind of just open the way, clear the space, let go of anything that may be kind of lurking around for either one of us to kind of give us a neutral zone to start off.
I'm
Would you be okay with
definitely.
that? So I'm just going to just burn a little around and so as I'm burning it around, I want to just invite you to close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. And I want you to think about the hour before you had to come to session. Um, where were you during that space and time? You know, where are you? Where are you, or how are you feeling in your body? Do you feel any tension anywhere? Are there any spots that hurt? What were you thinking about? You know, and maybe what were you doing? Were you around people? Were you by yourself? And what emotions are finding you? And I know that's a full plate, but whatever you can bring back with you. Um, Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and you can let me know when you're ready, and you can take your time and you can answer one of those or none of those. But I did want to offer, just as a grounding, to identify those spaces for yourself.
Hmm.
Okay.
Um, on a physical level, I've been experiencing a great deal of shoulder and neck, as well as lower back pain. Um, before I came to this session, I'm juggling a lot of different things between both of the businesses. I was dealing with various different clients, and I also had something come up with one of the children. And honestly, this is very much how my life feels most of the time, where it's constant demands and attentions and problems that I need to solve and take care of. So I feel pulled in many different directions in this moment, trying to center myself.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Okay. So talk to me a bit about, I know these are some of the things that, I'm hearing, um, just being pulled in different directions and the stress and strain of a constant demand. Um, so for some reason, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm being pulled away from the issues that may, or challenges that may be plaguing you and Bruce at the moment. But I really wanted to bring focus, if you didn't mind, just based off of what you're expressing, to um, things that are going to be more nurturing and centering for you individually as well. I know we had spoken about some concerns prior, things that were coming up for you and Bruce. Um, but before we got to that, I really wanted to um, just kind of engage you in, I guess, a bit of an exercise, if you were open to it, to kind of think about, and it doesn't have to be a lot of things, it could be one thing or 10 things that you would like to transform within your existence, within your experience, that may bring some sort of discontent or discomfort for you individually, independent of anything that's going on as a unit, as a couple, but just within um, your own space, your own mental, physical, and spiritual space. And you can write those things down on a piece of paper. And you take a moment to look at them and make sure you feel solid, and those are the things that you want to focus on. And then from there, um, I can guide you through an offering, in a sense, like some sort of burnt offering, to kind of release it into the ethers, no longer to return, just kind of helping to disintegrate that part of the challenge for you, to send it off, putting it outside of you so that it may not add to the overwhelming energy that's there. Is that something that you would be interested in?
I'd be interested. Can you explain a little bit more um, what you're having me write down exactly?
So on the piece of paper, you can write down different things that you may want to transform or change within your experience that may be bringing you discontent or any discomfort. And just write those things down on a piece of paper. That's the first place that we would start. And then from there, um, once you kind of sat with those things, looked at those things, made sure that those are the things that you wanted to focus on releasing yourself of, um, then you can crumple up that paper, because the whole thing, what we're doing is we're taking those things from the inside of us and putting them on the outside. So it's an exercise that would encourage externalization, because I think the more that we can lessen our load from inside, the less overwhelmed we feel in our physical, mental, and spiritual spaces. So I wanted to offer this as um, a teaching tool that you can continue to use in your, at home, and like, even with your children, like with anybody, it would end up being a practice, a tool that you can use um, to help you to kind of decompress, um, taking something, taking it from being something mental or more of an emotional experience, and making it into something tangible that you can put outside of you and just say, okay, I'm taking this sweater off and I'm putting it over here. So that's what it's an invitation. It's pretty much more a ritual than I would call it an exercise. And if it's something that you want to wait and do a little later, we can do that like a little later in the session. If you just wanted to start out just kind of talking, if there was something that you wanted to talk about, I just wanted to offer that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I suppose I feel a bit at a loss of where to start um, with that. The the thing that is coming to my mind that I do want to transform is this sense that it's all on me,
Mm-hmm.
that I have to carry it all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely, I definitely want to feel more supported, and I suppose this is part of the issue of why Bruce and I
Excuse me.
um, So the issue of why Bruce and I have come to therapy in the first place is I was capitulating to his needs and wants, as I have done in almost every sector of my life. Um, and now that I've opened myself up to the possibility of of having different relationships and other people, and finding somebody who I connect with on a much deeper level, who seems to want to help me in a way that my own husband doesn't really do. Um, and it has shed some light on the fact that I have been the one to primarily raise the children, take care of the house, also run both my businesses, help my husband achieve his goals. And so it's just caused me to reflect upon his selfishness and how perhaps it's time for it's time for me to have some joy in my own life, that I don't have to just feel that life just has to be one continuous struggle.
Okay. So, would it be safe to say that if, say, that we were thinking about dreams and wishes and goals and preferred futures, um, would would some of the things that you're expressing as far as the things that you want, would you consider those to fall into that category of maybe a dream for your relationship or a dream for your experience, as far as wanting the support, um, somebody who is going to hear you, see you in a way in which you haven't been? Because that may be a place to further explore, um, as far as, the focus on, because I guess what I want to ask, when was the last time, or if ever, have you brought a focus to what you've wanted out of this experience? Have you ever thought about, you know or have you given yourself permission to be able to want something out of this experience? Or were because sometimes we're conditioned that we just get what we get, and we roll with it. But have you ever thought about what you actually might want? Because I heard you say that you are, you're creating space to accommodate his needs. But have your needs ever been met? Have you ever felt that there was equality or balance in those places? And may that be something that you want to explore further, as far as thinking about um, the dream? And when I say dream, there's no smoke and mirrors, there's no fog. It's not like this mystery place that doesn't exist. Our lives in the present are based on our visions and our dreams. So it's a great place to begin to think about, have I served myself in this place within my life? Because as parents and as partners, you know, um, we make all the food and go get all the groceries, but we tend to eat last. And not because we feel that we deserve to, at least consciously, but because we're so busy taking care of everyone else and making sure everybody eats. Did you get a plate? Did you get a plate? Did you get a plate? You know, and sometimes being so tired and over the food that you don't even eat. You're like, okay. So, just wanting to bring focus to that place for you, to give you a seat, a rare seat at the table that you may never get to sit in because you're too busy clearing the plates and putting the dishes and cleaning up the kitchen and everything else, that you don't actually get to sit at the table and kind of look around and see if there's something there that you like or that you want to eat, or someone that you want to sit next to or talk to, like all of those kinds of things. So I'm just um
Well, I was raised very much with the belief that to do for others, to sacrifice for others is the greatest call, and that, to be a good mother, to be a good wife, that's just what you do, that you provide for others, you don't question that, and to want things for yourself is selfish,
mm,
um, and greedy,
mm,
and not 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 permissible, and that there's some character defect in being selfish, in having desires, in doing in doing almost anything that is not for the express purpose of your children or your husband or your larger family. There's very much a pushback in my head against doing things for myself.
okay.
Um,
Has, if you don't mind me asking, that feeling of when you talked about greed and it not being permissible, um, and character defects and in being selfish, um, where did that come from? Where did that example come from?
I was raised with very religious upbringing, and a home where there was a lot of love, but very much an understanding of constant sacrifice, and that being um, the ultimate, uh, that being the right way to live your life. And there being examples of people who weren't living their lives that way, and them being upheld in a dishonorable way.
Okay. Hmm. Because now I think there is a, connecting with the flip side of that reality of coming to a place of, what, I won't even say coming to a place, well, almost coming to this crossroads of what it used to mean and what it now means. And whenever we come to a crossroads, a lot of times um, we can look at it as some sort of confusion, but I look at it as an opportunity. The crossroads represents an opportunity for you to make a different choice or fill it up with whatever it is that you want to fill those spaces up with.
Mm.
So, thinking about those examples, um, that, you know, were subconsciously, passed, and it ended up injecting itself into the way and, into your love language or expectations within love. Like, and it doesn't make it right. I don't even right or wrong or good or bad. I don't believe in any of that. It's just that we amass what we amass, and we kind of operate from a place of, checks and balances, and we have moments every so often where we edit and move through and see and check in and figure out what still works and what doesn't work any longer. So with everything that you've just shared, and thank you for going into those places, I honor that, our family history is this sacred jewel, the sacred box that, everyone isn't privy to. For, sharing that part of yourself with me. But I did want to ask, what would be your ideal dream here then? If you figure that, what would be the dream of, or the opposite of that? Like, if being selfish is frowned upon, or, or, um, putting yourself in front of others is like one of the main tenets of being a good partner and a good parent. Um, how would you integrate your becoming now with that? What would be the dream? What would be the vision? What would be, yeah.
That's a good question. Um, I the dream, I suppose. Um, it's become very convoluted. You see, the dream before was that Bruce didn't want to have all these relationships outside of our relationship, but the dream has shifted now, and I'm thinking more and more that the dream involves somehow a relationship with Bruce where we are able to be co-parents. And I'm also having this other relationship in which my intimate needs are actually met, and how to um, balance these relationships in a way in which I'm again not feeling that I'm carrying all the weight
Mm-hmm.
these of these relationships, that my efforts are being reciprocated in full, and that I'm feeling nourished and loved and seen and witnessed and not taken care of, but just protected and safe.
Okay. But why not being taken care
Um, there's a good part of my identity that does rest upon my ability to provide. I'm never wanted to be someone who sat back and had someone else just pamper me. I do appreciate the fact that I'm a very hard worker and that I run two businesses on my own. Um, I don't I don't want to cross into that line of being some caged, uh, kept for woman. I like having my autonomy and exploring the ability to have a polyamorous, which I'm still not comfortable with this term, um, how I still love Bruce, but my love for him has changed, and I have a new relationship that's developing that I have feelings I've never felt for anyone else before. And I want to keep that, and I want to have that sustain the other parts of me. And how to keep this all in balance is the
of?
piece that I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna look.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, one of the first places to begin with something like that is some sort of ritual, of letting go of some of the weight. And that's why, the ritual that I introduced in the beginning, and you don't have to feel any pressure to do it now or anything like that, but just having a sense that it exists. Because when you have those moments where it's feeling very heavy and you feel like you're carrying a great deal of it, it might be something as simple as you writing down on the piece of paper, responsibility and carrying the weight. That's what you want to let go of. You write that on a piece of paper, you crumple that up, you burn it outside, something that's outside of you. You send it on its way. It's like, you know what, I'm ready to let go of having to hold this heavy container.
Mhm.
Um, and then what that does is it creates a space for you to think about, well, what do I want to fill this new space with?
Mhm.
Okay, I want to fill this new space with being guided towards the wisdom, that's needed in order to sustain and create this relationship with my husband that is brand new and transformed, but then also honoring the experience that I'm having that's brand new, that I want to see through so much.
Mhm.
And it's more of the permission that we give ourselves. So that's where the ritual is so powerful, because it really is you giving yourself permission to begin to shift and move that weight around, or just let go of it completely. And then once you're able to do that for yourself, you're able to communicate those things to your partner as far as your needs are concerned, because you're now grounded, firmly grounded in your desires, in your dreams, and in your wantings. So does that resonate with
Yes.
you at all? Okay.
Um,
So again, it's no pressure, but it was a ritual that I did want to share, even if it was just verbal. So it could be a tool for you to use in the in between time when we're away from one another, because it may be that you need something to kind of alleviate that as you're moving through your week. And just writing it down on paper and having that physical thing to crumple up and just watch burn and go into little particles and ashes, you're like, I've destroyed it. It helps. It really does help. Okay.
I will be utilizing
Okay. All right. All right then.
that. We are like we've got like 20, 25 minutes. Sorry to break, but
Yeah. Like
just,
for the whole thing.
yeah, I've been recording. It's now, I think it's been going 25 minutes.
Okay.
Do you want me to, what do you want to
Yes. So I'm gonna, I guess, de-roll, right? Well, I didn't close it really, so thank you.
I was just like, I think we need to have a code word.
Right, pineapple,
Pineapple.
papaya,
There's our great code word. Pineapple.
pineapple, papaya. Yeah.
Pineapple papaya.
So, okay. Um,
But I feel like you got a lot of material in there.
yeah, I was feeling like I had some stuff. So I think we're cool if we don't. Well, we can de-roll, but you could, stop recording and we can kind of shake it off, and you can change positions, take a couple of deep breaths, drink some water. Okay.
Hey there, Bruce. How are you doing
I,
today?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Mm.
I was gonna ask you just, before you came into this session today, what was going on? What was happening for you? Maybe even just on a somatic level.
The traffic was really hectic, you know. Um, I was trying to like smoke in the car and my lighter didn't work. So that was frustrating, just trying to like get ready for whatever this brought about. Um, my wife was gone for most of the day yesterday. She was at the store, checking on things and whatever. And I know, like, running around with the children and everything. And I'm only in town until like next Wednesday. So, you know, uh, and I find my mind will wander a bit. Um, like if she's like MIA for too long.
Hmm.
So I'm just like, okay, I know she's working, but now, there's a different presence around. So I'm all right. Just all right.
Okay. Is there a shift that's happened you talked about feeling like her attention is somewhere else. That's something that's come about more recently?
Um, yeah. I would say, yeah, even when she's there, she's not really there. There's times, and um, yeah, when she's there, she's not really there. She's fully present, like as a parent, she's a great mother, and she's really passionate about, the businesses that she's created, is things that she loves. But like when we're home, it's just like logistics. Um, almost like, walking on eggshells to get to the personal, and I don't know, and maybe I'm selfish because I'm not seeing anybody else right now, where's my wife, you know? Um,
Mhm.
I kind of shut that down because it just started to not move in the way in which I was comfortable with. And you know, yeah.
So you had made the correct here. You made the decision to open your relationship
Yeah.
with Kaya, and since doing that, she's actually engaged in a more long-term situation relationship with this individual. But you are saying you have not been seeing anyone else.
No, because I thought that by me just shutting it down with the people I was seeing, that maybe that would show her that, what, she's she's always been the only one. I just was like, creating a space for us to honor all of the parts of ourselves, and I feel like she kind of went against the agreement and fell in love with somebody. And I know how, falling in love works, but it's like she has a family, she has obligations, she has a husband that loves her, you know. So it's just it's a hard thing, and I know, like in the beginning, it wasn't something that she wanted, and she, just,
Can I ask if we can just take a second, close our eyes? I want you to maybe jump in for a moment and just tell me how all of this, how it's affecting you on this just very physical plane. Where are you feeling this stress around your wife having found someone and you are not feeling like your needs maybe are getting met here?
I mean, I feel like if it was casual, it would be cool. You know what I mean? We would talk about the people we've been with. It would be fine. And then, we're making breakfast, and we're getting the children ready for school. And then, we have great sex before she goes to the store, that's it. But now it's this whole other thing where it's like that the tenderness is gone, and and I think about, like if I had never said anything, if I never, but then I I also we had some issues in the past, where there was infidelity on my part, and I was really trying to introduce a way of being able to be honest in our relationship without compromising my yearnings, my wantings, my needs, if that makes sense. I didn't want to, I knew like I wanted to still spend time with other people, but I didn't want to lie to my wife. And I was trying to figure out a way to do that. And also like not make her feel like it wasn't equal, And I didn't really, like, I wasn't prepared for this part, So this part is like, it's my ego for sure. But it's like, I don't know. It's like I said, I feel like the girl in the relationship. Like I'm worried about where she's at when she says, and I know because she would tell me, you don't text me right back, or if especially after I cheated and I was going back on the road, it was like, I haven't heard from you like 3 hours, and it's that kind of lapse in time with her, and I'll find myself like looking at my phone, like getting nervous, like she called me in 3 hours. What's going on? Is she with that dude? you know? And I don't want that to be my automatic go-to, but then it's like, I'm also sitting with the feeling of if I never said anything in the first place, will we even be here? But then would I be like messing around on my wife, feeling horrible, lying to her feeling that shit and not being able to say anything. And, like we already dealt with that. And I guess the other part of me is like, I'm not at a place in my life where I'm willing to compromise those parts of myself. Like, I feel like I can be with somebody, be my full on self, be honest with my full on self, and we be together, but it's just like she went outside, it's kind of like she colored outside the lines. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have a coloring book, you given specific instructions to color, and she went outside the lines. I mean, I feel like that.
And this feeling of going colored outside the lines, that's your terming it. You feel it's affected both the relationship and just you yourself and how
Yeah.
about your daily. And so if there was a
because
way,
I don't even feel like going out to meet nobody, because I'm already like thinking about, because see, when I'm with these women, I'm not trying to be with them like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have understandings. It's casual situations. We care about each other. Everybody cares about and respects each other enough to make sure that we're not bringing, any drama to anybody's home. They know that I'm married. They know that I have a wife. They know that me and my wife have this understanding, the two women that, I'm involved with. So there isn't that threat on my end, at least that I don't know of. So for me, it's like I haven't even really been spending time with them, because I can't even, it's hard for me because every day I'm thinking about, is my wife, like, she feels like she's getting farther and farther away from me. Like the bed is like, we used to sleep like, we used to sleep like, we got a big king size bed, but we would be in the center, like huddled in a ball, like we were in a twin bed. We have no space. And now it's like, I don't even feel her in the bed anymore.
mm-hmm.
Even when she's there. So it's an adjustment for sure.
For sure, for sure. Now, if there's a way that you could reimagine your current situation, what would it look like if you had this intimacy back with your wife? How do you see that looking? Her coloring inside the lines.
Yeah, like, you know, she can have some dude that she's seeing, you know, and she spends time with him. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he cooks or something. I don't cook like that. You know, it might be something really like mundane that he does that she's like, oh, well, he, you know, he makes this for me. Or he goes, you know, he goes hiking with her or something. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing that. But, you know, as far as like this man like captured her soul and her spirit, you know, like that. I really, coloring inside the lines would be like just following the rules, like keeping it really casual, like you hanging out with this dude because y'all are feeling each other and it's something that you want to feel physically, you know, and that's it. You know, y'all hang out, we might go out to dinner, movie, whatever, it's a date. And then, you know, she's home before the morning because, you know, that was always the agreement that our children are not going to like wake up and see us coming home. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was something really important. Like I'm home before sunrise. If she's home before sunrise, like we're not walking in and the kids are eating cereal at the table looking at us from the night before. Like we had to, you know, and it wasn't any distinct boundaries, but you know, certain things I just thought would be unspoken. It's like we're married. So we're married, we have a family, we have businesses, we have homes. It's like we have a life together, have been building this life for over 20 years. You know, falling in love with somebody else was not an option. So for me, it would be that. It would be like just casual. You spend time a couple of times a week, you see this guy, but he doesn't have any type of influence on our thing. You know what I mean? I still travel, do my thing. I have, you know, the women that I'm seeing in my life, and we run our businesses and keep growing our children and just, you know, be more in love with each other than we ever have been because we're giving each other space to be our full on selves. That's what I see. That's what I would want. For there not to be like this emotional attachment, you know, to be able to understand like what we have, like she's my person no matter what. But, you know, there's this part of our relationship that is different, that has an opening where other people can be, you know, we can be with other people and and there's consent, you know, but we respect the marriage and don't fall out of love with each other.
And I think that's a good dream to hold on to. I'm curious to know how much of that you've shared with Kaya. You talked about agreement beforehand.
I mean,
set out.
you know, I don't think that I said anything in a way that's been calm. I've just been reacting. So, you know, I might have said something like, how could you fall in love with dude? Like, how could you do, you know, like we got a family, we got businesses, we got a home, like we're married, like, you know, and you know, what always comes back is like, what are you talking about? How could I? It's like, you brought this to me. You brought this to me. So I understand that she feels, you know, that this is all my idea. This is all my doing. And, you know, she's right. She's right. And, you know, Kaya's not that kind of girl. She never was. Before we were together, I think she had, and we got together, she was young. We were young. She had the same boyfriend before me. She was with the same guy from like 13 to like 17. Like they just like who that young is committed to anybody, but she's always been that person. And she's also only been with me all her adult life, you know, from 19 until now. And we're in our 40s, you know, so but I probably didn't tell her in a way that she would really be able to hear me. I told, I was definitely angry and upset and like, how could you do this?
Mm.
And she's saying, you, what are you talking about? I'm just, she feels like a lot is on her. I know that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
She's expressed that in her frustration.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of ways in which both of you can get your needs met and continue to grow in this relationship if that's the desire you have. Um, if you have any ideas about what that might look like, I have different rituals that I can talk about and guide you through in terms of trying to release some negative energy and emotions and frustrations, things that you might want to let go of, things that you might want to work on. You might be interested in.
Okay, so the rituals I'm interested in, but I feel like she's the one that fell in love with somebody. So it's part of me that's like, what am I letting go of? I put everything out on the table, like what I'm dealing with, like who I am. This is who I am, and and you know, I'm not saying I'll never change, but right now I'm just not, maybe I'm not willing to change. I grew up seeing this. This was very, very this my father operated in this way. This is this is normal to me, and I know that we come from different backgrounds. Kai and I heard mine was very, very free, hippies in Hawaii, loving everybody, and Kai is completely on the other wavelength, like very much more conservative.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that this is like she's hanging out with me, she's rolling with me, but she's reluctant. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't, I feel like we're here doing this work because we don't want to lose what we have. We're trying to figure out how to preserve, or even I can't even preserve it, because what was to me is dead. It's not even, we have to like transform our relationship so that we can both feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can tell you is right now, neither one of us feels comfortable.
Okay.
So I'm I'm interested to find out what your rituals, like what are they based, where the where the origins, because we do our own work as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm open, yeah. I can't lie and say I'm not like really angry right now. um, yeah, I'm real angry right now. And part of me knows I have a right and the other part of me knows I don't. So I think that's also it too. But I'm real angry right now. Like just trying to, like we were just, this is supposed to just be fun. I'm thinking this is just supposed to be fun. And right now I'm not having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not having fun at all. And then trying to like parent, we're very both involved in with our children, and putting up this unified front at school functions or whatever, when we're barely touching or talking to each other. I mean, we're not mean to each other. It's just clear that the light is like real dim.
No, I hear you when you reacted to my offering of some ritual here, saying you're not sure of what you need to let go of.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I'm also hearing you talk about having a lot of anger, having some anger around what Kaya is doing in terms of what you describe as coloring outside the lines,
Hmm.
some frustration, some some issues around your own ego. So I'm wondering if there's anything around that that you might be wanting to move or shift in order to look at the tension that's occurring right now between you and Kaya. Do you think that there might be anything you might want to look at, might want to explore in order to start the process of doing?
I want you to help me not lose my way.
I hear you. I hear you.
That's what I want. I want to not lose my way.
And I think that that is a great place to start from. I think opening some space around that and creating real intention around that desire of yours um, is going to require some work. And it's doesn't have to be work that has to be so incredibly painful. I want to create some space around making it playful and creative. And I know that you have worked with musicians for years. I know that you are an artistic and creative man, and so I'm wondering, in light of the fact that you already do a lot of rituals, some of the basic things I were just going to suggest were around Palo Santo, around sage, around burning some herbs that would literally clear some space so that you can actually take these things out almost outside of yourself and look at them over here. um, what would you be interested in that at all?
I just whatever like like I said, I'm angry. But I don't want to lose my way.
Yeah.
So I can't really give you specifics on what I want to do or don't want to do. I want to do whatever I got to do. So I will, I'll hear you out, and if I'm not comfortable, I'll let you know. Well, I'm open. I'm open because I want what's happening right now to go away. I don't, you know, and I, you know, I don't, like I said, I'm not blaming anything on how I was raised, but maybe it's some things I do have to learn how to talk to her. Maybe it's some things that I got to learn how to listen more. I have to, you know, she told me I need to take responsibility. So I guess I got to do that too. So I'm open. Yeah, I know that, a lot of people, it's a strange thing, but it's like a lot of people might be like, okay, if you don't have your wife, then you could just go out there and be free with whomever. But that's never what it was about for me. It wasn't about um they're taking place of her. There's no way. She does everything.
Mhm.
There's no question. She knows me deeper and better than anybody else, and she still deals with me. And you know, so I can't. That I just there's nobody. There's just no, like, I couldn't imagine not being in the same house with my children. That's just not an option.
Mhm.
So I want to figure out something where she has to be happy because she has to be a mother. She's got stuff she's got to do in her life, and I want her to be happy. I love her. I want her to be happy. That's just my best friend. So, but I'm also mad that it even got here. I'm just mad that it got here because part of it's like, well, if I would have just did my thing and didn't say nothing, there would be no whatever his name is. But then the other part is like, you know, I'm a believer in, you know, the things, you know, that's what came for her. That was for her. That's what came for her. So, you know, and I'm not even mad at him. You know, I'm not even mad at him. I'm just mad at how it turned out, because I just was thinking like, oh, you know, we have a good time, meet some new people, be respectful, no diseases back in our bedroom, and just really thinking about how, like, after the first time we got with somebody, like how it intensified our connection, our love making, like everything. It was like, oh my gosh, this is this was the battery we need. Like our batteries have been recharged or something, you know. So I wasn't thinking it was going to take us away from each other. So I don't know. So I don't want to lose any more than I already have lost. I don't want to lose anything else. I don't really think, yeah, I'm not trying to, you know, I don't want to be with anybody else like that. I don't want to build life with anybody besides her. So you know.
I think that being open is the greatest place that you can start from. Honestly, this is only an issue that you're going to be able to work through if you're going to be able to be open. I want to be able to work with you more on this, but I'm seeing that our time is coming to a close. So I want to offer that maybe you just take the next week between our sessions to really consider the ways in which you can do some shifting, and maybe opening some honest and open communication between you and Kaya around how you're feeling about this without bringing in the anger aspect, and feeling that if you can really communicate to her how much you truly love and care for her, that can be a recharging of batteries in and of itself, and that you can have this anger around her coloring outside the lines, but that you can use that as fuel to open up a new level of communication, which could have the potential to foster a different kind of intimacy between the two of you. And that's why I think clearing some space around it might be important.
Okay, I hear you. I'm just gonna tell you, like, I'm not strong enough for that yet. I don't know if I can talk to her without being upset. Like it comes up. Like right now, I can hear like logically everything you're offering, but I know that when I am in front of her and thinking about where she might have been, or if she was talking to this dude, or, you know, certain emotions just come up around that. Feeling threatened, like, you know, she's going farther away from me and the anger is going to come up. So I'm not close to it. I'm just saying that I feel like we may need that. I know I'm going to need that support, like in, you know, like prompts in talking to her about that, like, so that we both are kept safe. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want it to be a conversation we're having at home that turns into a argument, somebody leaving, children crying, like, you know, because that's how deep it is. Yeah. The anger is. So I am just asking, if possible, that our next session, or, you know, even if we could do something on the phone, I don't know, conference, Zoom, whatever, that we can have a session with you in between the session that we have in person, to have, you know, to have that conversation. I'm open to that. I just know that I need help. I need to be talked down a little bit, because I know like after I get off the phone with you, it's like all of that stuff kind of goes out, you know, when they're dealing with the emotion of the situation, and you want to apply all of the tools, but you go straight to what you're feeling. And I love her too much to hurt her anymore, the way I'm talking to her. And I just, like I said, you know, I don't want to lose my way. So I just I need support, and I need support in talking to her before I could talk to her in a calm conversation on my own.
I understand and I honor and I respect that. And I think that this is a key component in really progressing here is really knowing where you're at with this. And if you're not comfortable with talking to Kaya, then I'm not advising in any way that that's a step
Yeah.
you need to take. I think if you are really sitting with a lot of these emotions, one of the best things that you can possibly do is record this for yourself in whatever manner, whether it's writing, but if writing doesn't work, maybe making a visual message just so you can see and hear and maybe externalize some of this a little bit so you can look at it over here. Does that make some what I'm saying kind of resonated?
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I could do that. Or I make music, so that might be a way to kind of, you know, to do that. Like whenever I'm feeling a certain way, like put it into that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I think that would be great. And then if you want to bring that back into our next session, and we can
Mhm.
start doing some work around how that's going to look in terms of opening up communication between you and Kaya and getting the support that both of you really need to actually
Mhm.
delve into this matter. Does that sound
Okay.
good to you?
Okay.
So I do want to close this session out. If you want to just join me in closing your eyes and maybe taking a few deep breaths too. Now, what we're covering is really heavy, and I want you to come out of this session feeling that you've been heard and listened to, witnessed, feeling a little bit lighter.
Okay. Thank you.
You have a peaceful day.
You too.